Hello everyone, welcome to the tutorial series on the Go interview questions. So in this series, I'll be covering the 10 interview questions. Those are highlighted in the screen. So I'll take each and every question, then I'll explain the theory, and then I will explain it programmatically to you. Now let's start with the first question. That is, what is the static variable declaration in Golang? So static variable declaration means that we are declaring, while declaring the variable, we are specifying the type of the variable explicitly and telling the compiler the type of the variable so that the compiler can proceed for further compilation without requiring the complete detail of the variable. Now let's look into the program related to it. This is called, I have created a method called static variable declaration where I have declared a variable called a, and the type of this variable is integer, and then I'm assigning a value to this integer and finally printing the integer, and then finally printing the type of that integer. So let me run the program by just calling this variable. This part here is called static variable declaration, because here you see I have declared a variable and I am defining the type here explicitly, telling the compiler that it is of type integer. Now let me quickly run the program and I will show you of how it will run. You see, it says the value of a is 20 and x is of type integer. Why? Because I have specifically defined the type to be integer. So this line here is called static variable declaration. Let me close it. Now let's come to the next question. It says, what is a dynamic variable declaration? So basically a dynamic variable type declaration requires the compiler to interpret the type of the variable based on the value passed to it. So basically in dynamic variable declaration, we do not give the type of the variable explicitly, rather we allow the compiler to decide based on the first value passed to that variable that what is its type. Now let me explain you programmatically of what exactly I mean by that. So this is an example of the dynamic variable declaration. If you see, a is a variable, we are declaring the a, but we are not giving the type of a. Rather than we are just passing a value to a, and then compiler is deciding based on the value passed to a is whether it's of what type. So since we know that 42 is an integer, and you can see that it is saying where a is of type integer, and we have not explicitly defined a as integer like in this static variable declaration. Now if I'll do it like this and I will say it is mark, then you see here it says where is a is of type string. So that means that compiler is predicting or based on the first value passed to the variable of what is the type of the variable. Now let me quickly run this program for you and show you. Let me copy this and run this from the main program, and it says, fmt.println a is marked and y is of type string. Now what if I will pass string on the first line and integer on the second line to a, I will say a equal to 10. This will now become an error because once I have the first value that I have assigned to a, now since Go is a statically typed language, so a has become string in the eyes of the compiler. Now we cannot pass an integer value to it. So this program will give an error now. You see, it says cannot use 10 untyped integer constant as a string value in the assignment, because here I am doing dynamic variable declaration where the compiler has predicted based on the first value passed to the compiler that a type is a string, and in the second line I'm trying to pass an integer value to it. So this is basically the concept around the dynamic variable declaration in Golang. Now the third question is, what is the swapping in variables and how we can achieve swapping of the variables in Golang? So swapping means exchanging the values between two variables. Now in Golang, swapping can be done via different ways. Now let me show you via example. So this is the first way. Here, swapping one, you can see. Now here what I am doing is I have declared three numbers. Why I have declared three numbers? Because I want to swap the variable value among two variables, that is variable 1 and 2. Okay. So now I'm saying number one value is 45, number two value is 63. Now here I'm printing that before swapping, the values are number one will have 45, number two will have 63. Now I am passing number one value to number three, number two value to number one, and then simply finally number three value to number one. So now doing this logic, executing this value, what will happen? Executing these lines, what will happen is number two will have 45 and number one will have 63. So this is basically I'm swapping the values between both the variables. So let me run this program and show it to you. So this is the first way of doing the swapping. Let me run the program. Let me open it on a bit. Now it says number before swapping. Number one says 45, number two says 63. After swapping, number one has become 63, which was the value of number two, and number two has become 45. Now let me show you the another way of how we can do swapping. So let me do it first and then you see. Now the another way of swapping is this. Golang provides a very interesting way of doing it, you know. Now here you see what I'm doing. Essentially, I am doing almost the same thing, but it is implicit to Golang. So now here what I am saying is number one, the first variable declared here is assigned to number two, the first variable declared here, and the number two is assigned to the first variable declared here. So I'm passing number two to number one, and then I'm passing number one to number two. Now, once I've passed number two to number one, why this number one is not being impacted? Because Golang works on the value type, not the Golang. For these values, it is being worked on the value type. These are not the reference type, right? So when these assignments are being happening, so these values is not actually changing, but the value is changing once the assignment has completed. So that's the reason. So this assignment is working properly. Now let's run the same program. So this is one of the another way in a single line statement how I can swap the variables in Golang. A question may come in the interview that swap the variables values in Golang in a single line. So this is how you swap. So you'll say number one, number two equal to number two, number one. That means to number one, you are putting the value of number two, and to number two, you are putting the value of number one. Now let me say, okay, I'm calling swap two. Now let me run the program for you to show you the output of it. You see, there's the same output. Number one is 45, number two is 63. Here says number one is 63 and number two is 45. This is all about the swapping in Go. Now let's talk about the next question that says, what are the packages in Golang? So at a high level, packages are similar to classes in any other language. You know, packages are the combination of the data members or the combination of the members which are encapsulated into a package. You see, in package, we can have variables, we can have functions, we can have scripts, we can have interfaces. Every type that we are having in Golang can be inside the package. So by definition, packages are the group of related features grouped into a single unit so that they can be easy to maintain and understand and independent of the other package programs. So this modularity allows us to share and reuse the packages. Now, let me make you understand how we can import a package. So for importing a package, we use a statement called import. So here in this statement, what I am doing is I'm importing a package FMT. Now, we can import multiple packages as well. Now, say for example, apart from FMT, I want to import a package called time as well. So what I will do is I'll start a bracket, I'll close the bracket, and here I will say time. So this is how we import multiple packages at the same time. Now, how we declare the package. Now, declaration of the package is always done on the first line of the Go program. So in the line number 14, if you say package main, so this is how I have declared a package. Now the package means I'm declaring a package. Main means this is the name of the package. I can have the name of the package anything. It's not essential to be main, but the entry point of the application, if that application has to be executable, then the package name should be main always. Now there is another concept in package that is called a blank import. That's an important thing. You see here I'm importing a package FMT. Now this package has a dependency because we are calling println and printf method of this FMT. But sometimes in Go languages, we are allowed to create a pack. I'm sorry. Sometime in Go programming, we import some packages in a program, but we do not use them in our program, right? When we run such type of programs that contain unused packages, the compiler used to give an error. So to avoid this error, we can use the blank identifier before the name of the package. Say, for example, here I'm saying import FMT and say I'm again using import, say, time. Now, if I want to use a blank identifier with it, so what I will do is I will say import underscore and time. Now using this, you see my compiler is using it since I have used the blank identifier, but time I have not used in any of the program, but still it is allowing me to have it. But if I will remove it, so my compiler started giving me the error, you see. It says the method is package time, package time. Okay, so it's giving information about the time, but when I save the program, it will remove it automatically. And this is because of the extensions that I'm using in the Visual Studio Code. But in normal cases, if I'm not using the extensions, when I run the program, it will give me an error that package time has been imported, but it is not being used. For that case, we used to have blank import like this. This will allow us to import a package without using it. Now there's a concept of nested packaging as well. So in certain scenarios, we used to have nested packaging, right? We used to have package inside a package. So that's a pretty normal scenario. So in that case, we can import a package like I'll say I want to import a complex package inside math. So I will say this is my first package, then slash cmplx. This is how we can import a complex package or a nested package if we want. Okay. Now let's come to the another question. Let me first remove this time because that's not needed at all. Okay, let's come to the fifth question that says, is Go case sensitive? Yes, absolutely it is. Let me show you why the program. So now here you see I have declared two variables. The one is an a in lowercase, the other one is the a in uppercase. I'm assigning different values to the lowercase and the uppercase a, and then I'm finally printing it. And when I'll run this program, you see this program will run and the values will be successfully printed for both of the different case sensitive variables, that is small a and capital A. Let me run the program for you. You see 10 and 20. This proves that yes, Go is case sensitive. Now let's come to the another question that says, what is a main package in Go? So main package basically tells the Go compiler that the package should compile as an executable program instead of a shared library. So basically main package has certain more features that we cannot name any other package as main in the main program, in our program, and we can have only one main package in our program. So basically if the name of the package is main, that means we are simply telling our Go program that we want to create an executable out of it. Now let's come to the question number 7 that says, can we access main package from another package? The simple answer is no, we cannot access main package from another package. Now the next question is, what is a constant variable in Go? Now constant, as the name suggests, that this is fixed, right? The meaning it does not change in the programming language. Once the value of the variable is defined, then it should be same throughout the program and we cannot change the value of the variable within the program. So this is what a constant in Go, similar to how it is in the any other language. Now let me prove it to you. Now this is what I have defined a constant. So this of type C, it is of type string. Now in the next line, I'm printing the constant. So let me first show you by printing the constant, or let me call this method from the main first. Now let me run the constant program for you. See, it has printed test. Now what I'll try to do is I will try to change the value of the constant. Now here I'm saying C equal to mark. So let me try to run it. What information it will give me, or it will give an error. So you see it says cannot assign to C untyped string constant C. test. It is saying that I cannot assign a new value to C because it is an untyped string constant. Now, if I will say it is where, if I'll remove test, then it will assign the value and it will print the value C that is marks rather than test because we have reassigned C with a value of marks. You see, it has assigned marks here. So that's what the constant is, and that's how it is differing from the variable. Now let's come to the next question. That is, what are the different ways to declare a variable in Go? That's a very interesting question, and there are multiple ways of how we can declare a variable in Go, and these all ways are declared. Now let me show you one by one. Now the part here is called explicit declaration, where I can declare a, so by the way, the red line here, it says that these are not used. That's where there is a red highlighting here. Please ignore this for this time. So now here I'm saying that I'm declaring a variable A and the type is integer. First declaration, I can do it now like this. Now the second is, if I want to declare multiple variables in a single line and of the same type, yes, I can do. I am saying variable B, comma C, and both are of type integer. Now, third is, if I want to declare multiple variables of the same type in a single line with assigning values to them, with initializing everything, yes, I can do. So here I am saying that variable D, E, F, all are of type string, and D value is A, E value is D, and F value is C in the same sequence of how I have defined the variable. Third type is this. Now the fourth type is, if I can declare multiple variables of multiple types in a single line or in one go in Golang, yes, I can. You see, I've declared this. I'm saying L is of type integer, M is of type string, N is of type integer. Now, next is, if I can declare multiple variables of different type and initialize them in a single go in Golang, yes, I can do. It's like this. I'm saying variable L integer value is 1, variable M string value is A, and variable N integer value is 0. This is how I can do it. Now the next is, if I can declare a variable and initialize it at the same line or in a single line, yes, I can do it like this. Now, apart from this, where I've explicitly assigned a type to each and every variable, there is another way of declaring the variable that is called implicit declaration and initialization. This is how it is. So I've explained you previously this case where I've explained you the dynamic variable uh, assignment or dynamic variable type in Go. So this is how it works. So I'm saying h colon equal to 10. That simply means that based on this 10, this h value will be. Therefore, you say it has automatically implicitly decided that h type is integer, and I have not given the type of h here because how it has identified, because the value I'm passing to h here is integer. Now, if I change it to string, you see now it will start giving me as a string. That is called implicit declaration. Now, while with the implicit declaration, can I declare the variable and assign them in the same line? Yes, you can. I'll say where I, j, k equal to 10, 20, and test. You say I is 10. It is an integer, so it will be an integer. Where I equal to 10. Now, will be a float and k will be a string. Now let's come to the next question that says, can we return multiple values from a function in Golang? Yes, absolutely we can, and it is very, very easy. Now let's come to the program here. So this is basically the syntax. Now for returning multiple values from the function, we just have to specify brackets. Okay, so let me tell you like this. If my function would have been returning a single integer, then it would have been just integer without the bracket. But if we are returning multiple values from a function, then we have to specify bracket like this. So the first value that my function will return is of type int, and the second value that it will return is of type int string. So here I am doing the dynamic variable declaration where A is 10 and B is test. I am returning A and B, but what if I will do it like this, B and A? It will give an error, that is, it will say cannot use variable of type integer value in return to the statement failure, because now B is a string, but here I'm saying that I will return A in this sequence, or I will return integer in this sequence. Now, but same is for A, because A is an integer and I'm saying I will return a string in this sequence. So let me correct it here. Now, how I will accept these returns in a function and how I can use it, let me show you. Before that, let me comment this part for you, because else my program will give an error that these variables are not used. Since I'm returning multiple values, so I will have to accept multiple values function. So you see, A will become integer because the first return is integer, and B will become string because the second was string. So I will say fmt dot println A comma B. Now let me run the program for you here, and it should have a value of 10 and 10. Perfect. So this is how we can return multiple values from the function. So in this tutorial, I have covered the 10 basic Golang interview questions. In more sessions of this tutorial series, there are much more to come. Do like, subscribe, and comment if you really like my videos. Thank you very much, guys.